Hello there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Love Soul Connection podcast. I am Meeta, your intimacy coach and safe space creator for everything love, sex, and connection. And today we are going there. We are talking about arousal, not just in a textbook way, but in the real way that shows up in our relationships, in our bodies, and in the silent spaces where we feel connected from our pleasure. Let me start with this. Arousal is one of the most misunderstood, misrepresented, and miscommunicated parts of intimacy, especially for women. So many women that I work with, smart, successful, incredible women, come to me saying, Nita, I just don't feel anything anymore. Or, I love my partner, but I'm just never in the mood. Some feel broken, others feel guilty, and a few have even told me they feel like something's wrong with them. And the truth is, there's nothing wrong with them. They've just never been taught to understand how their arousal works, what turns them on, what shuts them down, what their body needs to feel safe, desired, or excited. And men, you are not excluded from this either. I've had so many men admit, sometimes for the first time, that they feel pressured to always be ready, that they fear being judged if they aren't instantly turned on, and then they carry that fear into every intimate moment, not knowing how to express it. Arousal is so much more than what we see in movies or hear in jokes. It's emotional, it's mental, it's deeply individual, and honestly, it can change depending on your mood, your stress, your relationship, and even your sleep. This is a topic that comes up in every single session that I do. Whether I'm working with a woman in her 20s, trying to understand her sexuality for the first time, or a couple in their 40s who've been avoiding intimacy because something feels off, the conversation always leads back to this one question: why don't I feel turned on anymore? So, in today's episode, we are going to unpack all of that. We are going to talk about what arousal really is, not just for women, but for men too. We will look at what blocks it, what fuels it, and how to reclaim it in a way that's personal and real. And I'll also be sharing how my coaching helps people rediscover their own arousal style, remove shame, and create a love life that actually excites them, not just one that checks boxes. If you've ever said to yourself, maybe I'm just not a sexual person anymore, this episode is for you. Take a breath, let go of the pressure. Let's talk about arousal like no one ever has before. Honestly, playfully, and with full permission to explore. Ready? Let's go. Alright, let's break this down. Because honestly, so many of us were never taught what arousal actually is. We assume that arousal is about being instantly horny, ready to go, wanting sex all the time, and if we are not, something must be wrong. But that's not true. That's actually a myth, one of the biggest ones out there. So let's start with this. Desire and arousal are not the same thing. Desire is the want, the mental or emotional interest in being intimate. Arousal is the body's response, how your body reacts, how it warms up, how it gets ready. Here's a simple way to think about it. Desire says, I'm kind of in the mood. Arousal says, ooh, okay, Now I'm feeling it. They can happen together, but not always. And that's where most people get confused. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. And this is especially important for women to hear. There are two types of arousal: spontaneous and responsive. Spontaneous arousal is what we usually see in movies or media. It's when someone is just going about their day and boom, they are suddenly turned on. No touch, no lead up, just instant sexual energy. This is more common in men, but even men don't always feel this. It's the I want sex now kind of arousal. Then there is responsive arousal, which is way more common in women. This kind of arousal kicks in after things get going. You may not feel turned on at first, but as you start getting close, emotionally connected, physically touched, your body starts to respond. You warm up gradually. It's like this: you weren't craving cake until someone brought it out of the oven, and now you're like, ooh, okay, yes, give me a slice. Let me share a real life example from one of my clients. Let's call her Anu. Anu came to me saying, Meeta, I think I'm broken. I love my husband, but I never feel in the mood anymore. We unpacked her routine, her stress levels, and how she was defining arousal. Turns out she was waiting to feel arousal before initiating or even considering intimacy. But when I asked her what happened when her husband actually kissed her, touched her gently, whispered sweet things, she paused and said, Oh, yeah, that actually turns me on once it starts, but I never feel like starting it. Boom. That's responsive arousal. And when she understood that this was completely normal, actually more common than she thought, her whole relationship with intimacy changed. She stopped thinking she was broken. She stopped waiting for some random urge to hit her. And she started giving herself permission to explore pleasure without pressure. This is why I always say, just because you don't wake up horny or feel ready out of the blue doesn't mean that your desire is gone. It just means your arousal works differently. And understanding that can take so much guilt and confusion out of the picture, especially for women who are navigating work stress, motherhood, aging, or just the reality of life. So, next time you think, I'm not feeling it right away, so maybe I shouldn't even try, pause. Ask yourself, what if I just allowed myself to warm up first? Then see what happens. So now that we've got a better understanding of what arousal really is, let's talk about why it's so damn hard to feel aroused in the first place. Here's the thing: our bodies aren't switches we can just flick on. Arousal is sensitive and it is deeply affected by what's happening in our minds and in our lives. One of the biggest blocks that I see, especially in women, is the mental load. Picture this: you're in bed, the lights are low, your partner reaches for you, but your brain is still on. The presentation that you have to do tomorrow, the laundry that you forgot in the machine, your kids' math homework, your mother in law's comment from earlier, and oh crap, did you remember to order the groceries? Sounds familiar? When your mind is running 35 tabs in the background, arousal doesn't stand a chance. It's like trying to light a candle in a storm. Your body can't relax enough to feel pleasure. Now add to this stress from work, family, or even just city traffic. Stress is like pouring cold water on your libido. Your body goes into survival mode. not sensual mode. Another big one, body shame. And this is huge for both men and women, though it shows up a little differently. One woman I worked with, let's call her Priya, she told me she avoids being naked even when the lights are off. She's constantly pulling the bedsheet over her tummy, overthinking her cellulite, her scars. Even when her partner tells her that she's beautiful, she doesn't believe it. And you know what? You cannot feel turned on when you're busy critiquing your own body. Your mind is not on pleasure, it's on protection. For men, it often shows up as performance anxiety. So many men feel like they have to be ready at all times, last a certain amount of minutes, satisfy their partner like a movie scene. There's pressure to perform, not feel. And when that pressure builds, it actually blocks arousal. It leads to stress, premature ejaculation, and even erectile issues. And the cycle just keeps repeating. And we can't talk about blocks without talking about cultural conditioning, especially in our Indian context. We were taught that pleasure is shameful, that sex is just for reproduction, that good girls don't ask for what they like, and good boys should know what to do without ever being taught. How are we supposed to feel free, turned on, or curious in a space where we were taught to feel guilt? One of my clients, Sana, told me, I didn't even know I could say what I liked. I thought I just had to lie there and hope it ends quickly. Her entire idea of intimacy was built on silence and sacrifice. And guess what? Her partner had no idea. He thought she was just shy. But inside, she was disconnected and deeply sad. That's the thing. When we don't talk about these blocks, they grow and they quietly destroy connection, pleasure, and confidence. So if you're listening to this and thinking, that sounds like me, I want you to know you are not alone. And nothing is wrong with you. These blocks are real, but they are also workable. And in the next segment, we'll talk about how arousal actually works differently for each of us and why understanding your arousal blueprint can change the game. So let's get into the juicy part now, how arousal works differently for men and women. First things first, arousal is not just about biology. Yes, hormones and physical responses matter, but what does really drive desire and arousal? Psychology, our thoughts, beliefs, past experiences, even our sense of self worth. Now, biologically speaking, men often experience what we call spontaneous arousal. This means their bodies can respond quickly to visual or physical stimuli, like a kiss, touch, or even a thought. That's why culturally, men are expected to always be ready. But that expectation, it is also a burden. Because what happens when a man isn't ready? When he's tired, anxious, stressed, or emotionally distant? Many of my male clients have told me, I feel like something's wrong with me if I don't want sex all the time. And that pressure, it kills desire. It creates performance anxiety. It leads to avoidance. And guess what? Partners take it personally. Now, on the flip side, women often experience responsive arousal, meaning desire doesn't show up first. It comes after they feel emotionally connected, safe, relaxed, maybe after some cuddling, touching, or an intimate conversation. But here's the problem. If a woman thinks she has to be spontaneously aroused like her male partner, she'll think something is broken. Why am I not turned on already? Why don't I feel like jumping into bed? And the moment guilt or self judgment enters, arousal exits the building. Let me share a real life story of a couple that I coached. Let's call them Ria and Karan. Ria came to me heartbroken, saying, I feel like Karan doesn't want me anymore. He never initiates sex. He used to earlier, but now, nothing. Is he not attracted to me? Meanwhile, Karan was silently dealing with anxiety from work, shame around a past performance issue, and feeling emotionally distant, but didn't know how to talk about it. To him, not initiating was a way of protecting himself from rejection or failure. Neither of them were wrong. They were both living in their heads, and no one had taught them how to talk about arousal or what it looks like for each of them. This is where communication becomes everything. But here's the harsh truth: most of us have never been taught how to have these conversations. We are told how to have sex, but not how to talk about it. Things like, hey, I noticed I don't feel desire until we connect emotionally. I get turned on more slowly, and that's okay. I love it when you touch me like this. Can we explore more of that? Lately, I've been feeling anxious, and that's making me withdraw sexually. Imagine if couples could say these things without shame. Imagine if you could say this to your partner and feel heard. Here's something powerful that I tell my clients: arousal isn't just about the body, it's also about how safe you feel being seen. So, whether you're a man feeling pressured to perform or a woman feeling like desire has gone missing, I want you to know it's not about being broken, it's about being human. And once you understand your arousal style and your partner's, everything shifts. Coming up next, we'll dive into how to discover what truly turns you on and how to start having fun with your arousal journey. Because, yes, this work is deep, but it can also be sexy, playful, and joyful. Stay with me. Okay, so now that we've unpacked the differences in arousal and how cultural and emotional blocks can impact it, let's shift the focus inward. Let's talk about something that sounds so simple but is actually one of the hardest things for many people. What turns you on? You would be surprised how many people, especially women, don't have a real answer to this. They know what their partner likes. They've memorized how to perform during sex. But when I ask in a session, what really arouses you? There's often a pause, followed by silence, and sometimes tears. Because we've never been taught that it's okay to explore our desires without shame. We've never been encouraged to get curious about what pleasure even means to us. So here's what you need to do. Step 1: give yourself permission to explore. I had a client, Simran. She was married for 11 years. Sex was always fine, but she never felt fully there. She said, I thought arousal just happened. I didn't know I had to get to know myself first. So we started small. I asked her to journal on things like, when do you feel most confident and sexy? What kind of touch feels good? Light, deep, slow, fast? Are there any fantasies or scenarios that feel exciting, even if you've never said them out loud? Over a few weeks, she began to light up. She realized she liked being teased. She liked being desired slowly, and she loved soft music, dim lighting, and long kisses. All these little things helped her feel connected to her body before sex even started. The more she discovered, the more confident she became. That right there is power. Step 2 is to build arousal beyond the bedroom. Arousal isn't limited to the bedroom. It's a whole energy, a state of feeling alive, open, turned on to life. For some people, arousal begins during a flirty exchange. For others, it starts when they feel cared for, like when their partner remembers their coffee order or kisses their forehead. Try to think of arousal as a garden, not a switch. You water it with attention, with imagination, with sensuality. That could be wearing lingerie just for yourself, taking a long bath and touching your skin slowly, watching or reading something erotic to spark your imagination, asking your partner to give you a slow massage with no expectations attached. None of these have to lead to sex. They are just ways to tune in to your own turn on. Step number 3 is to start the conversation with your partner. Once you've gotten a little clearer on what turns you on, it's time to share. Not all at once, not with pressure, but with openness. Try saying, I've been thinking about what really arouses me, and I'd love to try something new with you. Let your partner into your journey. Make it playful, not critical. And if you're the partner listening, please don't take this as an insult or a sign that something's wrong. This is about growing together, exploring together. Sometimes I even recommend doing a sensual check in where you ask, what's something that you've been curious to try? Is there something that always gets you going that we haven't done in a while? What makes you feel most desirable? Let these conversations be a part of your foreplay. Step number 4 is to know when to seek support. If you're listening to all this and thinking, I don't even know where to start, that's okay. That's where coaching can help. In my program, I guide individuals and couples to explore arousal in a way that feels safe, shame free, and customized to their lives. We talk about the deep stuff. We go step by step, and I give you tools to reconnect with your body, your desires, and your partner. Because the truth is, this kind of awakening doesn't just lead to better sex, it leads to a deeper relationship with yourself. And that is priceless. Coming up next, we'll wrap up with a loving, gentle reminder about what arousal is really about and how to honor your journey wherever you are in it. Let's take a deep breath here. Because if you've made it to this point in the episode, I already know one thing about you. You care. You want more. More connection, more pleasure, more presence in your intimate life. And I want to tell you, you deserve that. Now, I want to share what working with me as a coach can actually do for you. This isn't just about fixing something, it's about finally coming home to yourself. So, in my coaching, here's what we work on. First, we discover what turns you on without guilt or confusion. You get a safe space to explore what feels good, exciting, sensual for you. Through guided exercises, journaling prompts, and real conversations, you slowly build clarity about your body, your needs, and your arousal. Sometimes I hear things like, I didn't even know I was allowed to want that. And we unpack where that belief came from and start rewriting it. The second thing that we do is learn how to talk about your desires with confidence. I teach simple ways to communicate desire without awkwardness or pressure, like how to say, this turns me on, or can we try this together, without fear of being judged or misunderstood. One of my clients, a 37-year-old woman, told me her partner had no idea she wanted more touch during foreplay. Not because he didn't care, but because she never felt confident enough to say it. After just a few sessions, she found her voice and their intimacy completely shifted. The third thing that we do is we release shame, guilt, and fear one layer at a time. Most people I work with have layers of cultural, personal, and emotional blocks around sex and pleasure, especially women who've been taught that sex is something for the man, or men who've been taught they have to perform instead of feel. In our sessions, we untangle that. We gently walk through beliefs you've carried for years, maybe even decades. And when that shame begins to melt away, oh, the liberation, the glow, the softness, it's honestly magical to witness when I see it happening with my clients. So let me share a real transformation with you. One of my clients, Arjun, came to me saying, I think there's something wrong with me. I'm not always in the mood. My wife thinks I don't find her attractive. After a few conversations, we realized he wasn't broken. He was just deeply stressed, disconnected from his body, and carrying guilt for not fitting the always ready male stereotype. So, we worked on mindfulness, nervous system regulation, and slowly opening up communication with his wife. A few weeks later, he sent me a message. For the first time in years, I didn't fake it. I felt it. I was present, and my wife noticed. That is the power of slowing down, tuning in, and learning that there's no right way to be turned on. So, if you are feeling disconnected, if you're listening to this and thinking, I've lost touch with my sensuality, or I want to feel confident in my body again, or I just want to know what feels good for me, then I invite you to explore coaching with me. Whether you're single, in a relationship, married for 20 years, or just starting to explore your sexuality, this work is for you. It's never too late to reconnect with your pleasure, and you don't have to do it alone. Now, let's just take a moment to breathe. This episode was a lot. We spoke about desire, about arousal, about all the messy, beautiful, confusing things that live between our ears and between our thighs. If there's one thing I want you to take away from today, it's this: you are not broken. You are not late to the party. You don't have to fit it. You don't have to fit into some pre decided script about how arousal should look. Whether you feel it slowly or suddenly, whether it shows up after a long hug or a deep emotional connection, or even if you're still figuring it out, your way of experiencing arousal is valid and it deserves to be honored with kindness, with curiosity, and with zero shame. We're all on a journey here. Some of us are learning to feel again, some of us are learning to ask, and some are learning to receive without guilt. So, wherever you are, I see you. And I promise this path gets gentler, richer, and more beautiful when you allow yourself to explore it. If you've been feeling disconnected from your body, unsure of your desires, or maybe just tired of faking it, please know that support is available. My coaching program is designed to help you reconnect with your sensual self, to speak your desires out loud, and to build a sex life that actually feels like yours. If you are curious, send me a message. Let's talk. No pressure, just presence. And hey, if this episode resonated with you, will you do me a small favor? Share it with someone that you love. Leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Subscribe so you never miss an episode. We talk about all the juicy, real, human stuff here. So until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and remember, your pleasure is your power. With love, Neeta, your intimacy coach and biggest cheerleader in this journey. See you next time.